Live from Quinton Parade on Coventry Road, Charlesmore in Coventry in the United Kingdom. I'm Chief Inspector Kerry Blakeman. I'm responsible for local policing here in Coventry, and also with me today is...
Yes, good evening, Simon Shilton. I'm responsible for the fire services in Coventry, so all of the operational response and community fire safety here within the city.
We are planning to be on there for about an hour. If you do have any questions for us, please tweet them in. We will pick them up either via our iPhones or via the laptop, which is to our left. As I said, we're currently in the Charlesmore area of Coventry, and I'm really grateful for some local businesses that have helped.
To shoot off at a moment's notice. If they do so, then obviously we'll have a look what they're going to, and I'll keep you informed of what the evidence is pending. What we'll do is obviously introduce the crew a little bit later on, and they may be able to, if we've got some time. Now, we normally crew it at 5 personnel and carries all the frontline firefighting equipment, hoses, hose reels, and also cutting equipment for any road traffic accidents.
So we're in Charlesmore. It's one of the suburbs of Coventry in England, in the United Kingdom. I have a dedicated neighbourhood team that's led by Sergeant John Hannon. Sergeant Hannon has a number of constables and police community support officers that police the area. As well as this live internet broadcast,
and that is all we're looking at. Is we have a laptop set up to our left, and we'll be monitoring the screen for any questions that may come in. Likewise, we may also be checking our...
I believe we're broadcasting. It certainly says that we are to our left, and also the audio seems to be working. So if anybody could tweet.
So a little bit later on, what we'll do is I'll ask one of a member of the crew to put on one of our breathing apparatus sets, and another member of the crew can just talk you through that, about the basic components, and really that is a major piece of protection equipment that we have to wear when we're dealing with fires.
Okay, what I'd like to do is, if I could ask you to step aside,
Certainly,
Simon.
yes.
What we have tonight is we've got Councillor Hazel Noonan who is here tonight. Councillor, would you like to come over? Okay, just like to stand there. Councillor Hazel Noonan is one of the local law authority local councillors. Hazel represents the Charlesmore ward, and I'm really grateful for her taking the time to come down tonight. Councillor Noonan, I wonder if you could just give us a bit of a flavour in terms of what's your experience of working with the Charlesmore police team.
Okay, I've been a councillor for 11 years, and over that time we've always worked well with the police. The police have always had a good attendance at any community meetings in the area. They're always been able to be contactable, and if there are any issues, they do deal with them promptly.
Okay, interestingly enough, Danny's just seen what's been happening in the local area, the fact that we've been setting up the actual internet broadcast. Having a quick chat with Danny beforehand, ordinarily he wouldn't have actually come to any kind of community meeting, but actually Danny's got a question for us, and what he's actually asking me is, what is it like to be a police officer? I'm not actually going to answer that question, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Special Constable Ryan Carton into the shot. So, Danny, I'm not going to answer that question, but it's nothing personal. Ryan, we want to just come and stand here and just give Danny an idea about what it's like to be a police officer.
Hiya, Danny. So you want to know what it's like to be a police officer in Coventry or anywhere else? Coventry. So really, really fun. Lots and lots of people working in Coventry that aren't police officers, that are working everywhere. Really, really enjoy it. So there's loads of people to meet, especially in Charlesmore, because this is where I work. Plenty of people to meet. I really enjoy it. So when we meet people like you that have got questions, it's great to answer them. It's really, really good.
Alex is based here in the Coventry city centre, and Alex looks after his watch on Blue Watch. Alex.
Good evening. As Simon said, I'm from Coventry Blue Watch, based at the Radford Road in Coventry. We've come along this evening to support the Twitcast, and I shall be introducing you imminently to one of my crew commanders who's wearing a breathing apparatus set. This is Ian Jones, who is a lot taller than me. He's wearing one of our breathing apparatus sets, which is a piece of personal protective equipment, as Simon said, and that's worn when going into fires where the atmosphere is not breathable. So in a very smoky house fire, we had to send people in to save life But to prevent the fire getting even worse, we will send our firefighters in this piece of equipment because it will protect them and enable them to do their job efficiently. At the front here, as being modelled by Crew Commander Jones, is the mask which goes over the face. We can demonstrate that now for you actually. We'll get him to put that on. Just put it on your face. We'll start it up. Good. There we go. So he's done that, and that's what he would do. He'd put that on. We do have some equipment that some headgear that goes over the top to protect the head in a helmet, obviously. So he has his mask here with a nice polycarbonate visor to keep his face safe. We have the breathing mechanism at the front. Round the back, to turn to the side, we have this cylinder here, which has 1800 litres of air in. It's obviously squeezed down very tight to get it in the small cylinder. This should last about 30 minutes or just over in an incident. Bring it back round to the front. We have some other safety equipment on the front here. We have a little belt line which attaches him to a guide line in the incident, which will help him find his way in and out if it's a big warehouse or a big property. We also have a device over here which will actually give him his pressure reading, so it shows him how much air he's got in his cylinder and how much time he's got left available in the incident, so he can come out safely. This yellow piece of plastic here is left outside the incident in a control board which is constantly monitored. And should the wearer get in distress or have any trouble, he can press this button, or if he lays still for a long period of time, the alarm will go off outside and further crews will come in to rescue the firefighter. So that's his communication with the outside world while he's inside the incident. He also does have some communications as well, which is on his side here, but there is also an internal microphone built into the mask to allow him to communicate with the outside world and tell him what's going on. That is, in all intensity, our breathing apparatus set. As I said, nicely modelled by Crew Commander Jones, and it's one of the, well, it's a more sophisticated piece of PPE that we carry, personal protective equipment. We might, if we get time, I think, show you a little bit more of some of the other equipment we have, but for now, I'll pass you back over to Simon.
How long have you had the Taser for now?
Me personally, 3 years. I was lucky enough to take part in the initial trials in Coventry. That was obviously 3 years ago, initial 12 trials, but it's now implemented throughout the force.
Okay. So we've got a Taser here. As I say, Neil is no different from any other officer, like myself. He's got no superpowers. We've all got the same kind of powers. But what he's actually got, he's got an extra piece of what we call personal protective equipment. Now, we've had an incident today that Neil has actually attended, and I've had some information through from our radio, and it was a report of a man with 3 knives. What part of the city was that, Neil?
It was towards the Radford end of the city. It was a call was initially a domestic nature. As the job came in, obviously we were notified that weapons were involved, so Taser cars were asked to attend. Currently at the moment there's 2 Taser cars patrolling the city at the moment, so both cars.
Over the last few weeks. This is slightly different to what we previously, or what we wear at this moment in time. Certainly the first thing you'll notice is the difference in colour. Our current uniform is a kind of a beige light brown colour, and this one here is a different manufacture, but what we've got is a different change in colour. You can see they've got some red arms and red stripes across the arms, if you like, red shoulders. We've still got the reflective strips. You can see the reflective strips there. We've still got reflective strips on the jacket. But one of the things about this jacket is the actual design itself that you won't be able to see on the camera itself. And what we've got, it's a lot much thinner material. Modern fabrics now, there's a much thinner material. But what we've got inside is, I can only describe it as almost kind of a corrugated neoprene sort of neoprene inside sheeting, if you like. very, very flexible. What that allows to do is that provides an air gap between the inner layer of fabric and the outer layer of fabric. The outer layer of fabric is obviously fire retardant, but that air gap, if you like, provides an element of insulation, and it helps the air circulate around the jacket, keeping us much cooler when we're in a more high. You can see that there. It's obviously a full design to cover the back of the head